you have a key fob on your car? If you do, haven't you wondered how easy it would be for someone to break into your car? All they have to do is replicate whatever signal that is, and they don't even have to get a Slim Jim. They don't even have to undo a wire coat hanger and slip it in the little gap by the driver's side door. They just beep their way, and it opens, and then I don't even have a key to start my car. I just do another invisible radio signal, and all of a sudden the car knows to start. Well, thieves are catching up. Jerry Reynolds from the Car Pros back on the James Show, and it's getting worse. They're coming up with new ways to bust through these key fobs. What's the latest thing we got to worry about now, Jerry?
Hey, James, good to be back with you. Yeah, this is a major problem, and if you go on, and I haven't done this, I've only read about it, so full disclosure, but if you go on the dark web, there is all kinds of tips and devices you can buy to steal cars. And the newest one, and I had heard about this before, but the newest one is that in some particular cars, we know Toyota has a problem with this. You can go through the headlight to get to the circuit board, and you can tell the car to do whatever you want it to do, unlock itself, start it, the whole deal. And it's really frightening. You're right about the key fobs. That's been a common problem now for a while. But, people, the fix around that is, put your keys in a metal box and shut the lid when you're home, or wrap them in foil, and that'll keep your code from being stolen. But some of these other newer things, I don't know what the fix is for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've always thought that you should have the option to go back to a physical key. You choose whether or not you want a fob or a physical key. I think I would still go with the fob, but it would be interesting to see if we had these two models side by side, if there was a big difference in the theft rate.
Yeah, and you got to think that there would, but we all like the convenience of the fob. Not having to dig your keys out of your pocket, or if you're a lady, out of your purse. Yep. You can just get close to the car and it'll unlock itself.
But Jerry, this is the first. I'm always like 10 years behind on cars. I never get a new car, so this is my first car where I had the key fob where you just push a button to start. And after like 4 months of that, I can't go back, Jerry. It feels like I'm in a horse buggy. But this is also my first car with the reverse camera with the little TV screen where I can see backing up.
Oh, yeah.
And I almost never crank my head all the way around anymore. I almost have to remind myself if I'm in a tight spot. You might want to actually look with your own eyes, Jerry. So
I'm the same way.
We adapt to this so fast.
Oh, we do. And, I'm reviewing the Volkswagen ID Buzz this week, which is an electric Volkswagen retro bus, right? Well, this one, when you walk up, it's pretty cool. This one, when you walk up to the car, it unlocks the doors for you, and when you sit down and close the door, it starts it for you.
Is this facial recognition?
No, it's just it's using the key fob to know that that it assumes you're supposed to have that key fob, and it'll just start running. You don't have to do a doggone thing. So we're getting spoiled. I know what you mean with the rear cameras, especially the ones that have the guidelines that show you exactly where your wheels are going to be. If you turn I can live without it. It's wonderful, but all this technology also opens up vulnerabilities.
All right, how about
what we got to be careful with?
How about some wild predictions here? I think it's going to do what your iPhone does, or I don't know what other phones do, and it will have to look at your face. There will be a facial recognition component, and then the problem will be, well, what happens if Dave wants to borrow your car? You can't just give him the keys, or you got to set up some other permissions or things. But I think there's a lot of evolutions that could happen that, we already have the technology for, that we're going to be implementing soon.
Oh, I've tested a couple of cars that use fingerprint recognition. So you put your thumbprint on the door in a specified place to unlock it, and then you put your thumbprint on the dash, At another place to start the car, you don't need a key at all.
So what do those people do when they want to let the neighbor borrow the car or let one of the kids borrow the car?
I guess they use their key. It does still come with the key and the key fob, but if you don't want to mess with that, you can use your thumbprint. I've got a BMW personally that I just leased, and it's got a credit card type operation where I can not carry a key. I can just hold the credit card up to the door and then hold the credit card over the ignition switch, and the car will start. So, all this stuff is cool, but you got to hang on to your stuff. You got to be careful, what can be duplicated. And the other thing that I warn people about, James, is this. When you trade your car in, wipe the information clean if you've got a navigation system, because all you got to do is hit the home button. The next person that gets in that car can hit the home button and know exactly where you live. Guess what? You've probably stored your garage door opener into the visor above you. So not only can they come to your house and know exactly where to come, they can hit one button and open your garage. And we know what happens from there, right? So if you're trading in a car, you got to be careful and wipe all that information off there.
Solid advice. Jerry Reynolds, Car Pro Show. How do we find you online?
Go to carpro.com or listen in Saturday morning, 9 to 11. We just had our 23rd anniversary on WBAP.
Oh, well, congratulations. Jerry Reynolds, Car Pro Show. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Dallas Police Chief under investigation by Texas State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Oh, what's it for, Parker? Oh, you know what it's for. It's for that sanctuary city stuff. Now, we've been reporting on this and keeping an eye on it, and I have a soundbite from Igo, the interim police chief here in Dallas, from January, from February, saying that he's not going to be complying with immigration law to the fullest. He's not going to be going out of his way on these detainer requests or whatever. He doesn't come out and say strictly we're going to be a sanctuary city, but when you're not doing what you can to get some of these people deported, I mean, we're kind of reading between the lines now. So let's just review what this guy said thus far. Here's Dallas Interim Police Chief Igo.
Dallas diversity is our strength and contributes to the economic and cultural vibrancy of our community. We will continue to serve all of our residents without regard to race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, national origin, or other protected categories. That is not only the law, but it's the right thing to do. The federal government is primarily responsible for enforcing immigration laws. The City of Dallas and the Dallas Police Department will continue to be responsive to community needs and promote public safety for its residents. The EPD will continue to enforce city and state laws while upholding the constitutional rights of residents. DPD and other departments are guided by the Dallas Welcoming Strategic Plan, which seeks to serve as a plan for civic, economic, and linguistic social integration and inclusion for the Dallas diverse communities. Currently, there are no changes to how the City of Dallas and DPD will provide services. This also means that if you are a victim of a crime, you have the right to report it, regardless of immigration status.
All right, so that's what he said in an official message. Well, then he goes out and he does some public events and he says some things on microphones where I don't know if he knows he's being recorded or what, but he goes a little more off of script here at a local meeting at a church.
The Dallas Police Department is not assisting any federal agency on detaining people that are either documented or undocumented in the city of Dallas.
No, he's not assisting them. Some of you, I don't know if you understand the depth of what he's saying there. Now, there are a lot of people who roll their eyes at the idea of we need to go out and we need to start rounding up anyone just because they're illegal and start sending them back. There's also people who roll their eyes at the idea of just because some guy gets a speeding ticket or is jaywalking, we got to call ICE on him and make sure he's deported. But let me give you a different example, one that's been in the news recently, because this guy got picked up by ICE, and the mass deportations that people have been protesting the last 4 weeks or whatever in the downtown of where you're listening right now. This is the program that they were protesting. This is the ICE program that they were protesting. They went out and picked up this guy who had been convicted of manslaughter before, and they're giving him a ride home. Let me give you a little bit of detail about this fella. It's 2022. He catches a guy that's walking back to his car in an alley, tries to rob him, we think. It's kind of hard to tell because after he stabbed him to death 7 times, he set the body on fire. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on in the head of the prosecutor who let this guy plea down to manslaughter from murder. And it's not a murder like I shot someone from a distance. This is close and grisly. Can you imagine stabbing somebody's body and like blood comes out and this is another human being and you don't think, oh my God, this is the worst thing possible. You do it 6 more times. And then what do you do to the corpse afterwards? Continue desecrating it. Let's set it on fire. I mean, what level of sociopath, if not psychopath, do you have to be to do this? And even this guy doesn't get deported. This guy is allowed to walk around. Police Chief Igo, you really think you're making Dallas a better place? You think the citizens of North Texas and Dallas County are better served if you don't let ICE know about this guy so he can get deported? Here's the ugly part. He spent 0 days in jail, or he was sentenced to zero days in jail. He pleaded down to manslaughter, and according to the report here on Dallas Express, who give him credit, they broke this story, and I think we're going to try and talk to Chris Putnam tomorrow. He's the guy who, this is his outfit. Reduced to manslaughter, he was sentenced to 8 years of deferred probation, sent right back in the community. Is this really what's best for the citizens of Dallas? Oh my God, can you imagine a worse guy? So yeah, Ken Paxton, come down here and stop this police chief from doing this to the rest of us, from making our community this unsafe. I mean, it's bad enough that you stab a guy 7 times, set the victim's body on fire, you get reduced down to manslaughter, and you don't serve a day in prison. But on top of that, he's an illegal, and you have no interest in deporting him. There are guys who walked into an open door on January 6th and did 2 years of time for breaking no other law other than criminal trespass. And they did more time than this guy who stabbed one of your neighbors to death and set his body on fire, and he's an illegal. Yeah, Ken Paxton, come in here and do something about this guy. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. Don't look now, it's spring break. Are you traveling? When is your spring break? I think my kids are off next week. We're not really traveling much because someone has to work, but a lot of people have better work schedules and disposable income than I have. So where's a good place to travel for spring break? Let's ask Casey Carr, who spent his life in the travel world. Casey, welcome to the James Show. Give them 30 seconds on your background before we wow them with your expertise on travel.
James, hey, thanks for having me. My name's I'm Casey Carr. I'm with Sharon Carr Travel right here in Dallas. We are a full-service travel agency. We celebrated our 55th anniversary last year, so we're well versed in the travel industry, and especially leaving here from Dallas, Texas.
All right, Casey Carr, let's start locally. If people were going to travel to Dallas for spring break, or maybe they're locals and they want to keep it around here because they can't, take a whole lot of time off, what are some great places to visit for spring break here in North Texas?
We have a lot of great lakes here in North Texas, right? We've got Lake Texoma. We've got all the lakes south of here, and really the Metroplex is surrounded by lakes. We've also got, from Dallas, you can be in the hill country in 4 hours. You can be down at the coast in 5 hours. So we've got our options. And if you want to leave the state, you can head up north to Oklahoma. We've got Beavers Bend is only 3 hours away. So, if you haven't planned, which a lot of us haven't, and you're just looking for something to do last minute, there's plenty to do right here around the Metroplex. We call that a staycation.
Yeah, I love those. Staycations are a lot easier on my wallet. But also, one of the problems if you go to some of the popular spring break destinations is it's populated with people who are partying way harder than me and my kids are.
Yes, right, and the beaches are like that a lot of the time. If you're going to Florida, for example, Daytona is infamous. So steer clear of places like that. But there are a lot of other options, even beaches, especially private beaches, family-oriented resorts, things like that, where you can get away from the spring break crowd and really get into a family atmosphere.
Well, where are the deals? Because, like, my wife likes to go on a cruise when it's the off season in the winter, and there are people who only ski if it's not like a holiday weekend. Where are the deals to be found at for spring break?
Nowhere. There are no deals.
Hey, I appreciate the honesty. He gets 3 points for that one, Garrett. Casey, you're on the board.
It's the truth, unfortunately. But, you can still find good fares, but you have to plan far in advance. You need to be planning 6 months out, at least, for spring break in order to find the best fares and availability. If you're planning last minute, which I frequently do, unfortunately, there's an old adage in the travel industry, we're our own worst travel agents. And I tend to plan late, which I did last year. I took my kids on a cruise for spring break, and I ended up spending about $1,000 more than my sister had spent on the same cruise because she had booked 6 months earlier, and I booked last minute.
Ouch. All right. What's your thoughts on international travel? There's been some warnings from the State Department that you probably don't want to go to the heart of cartel territory, but what are some good recommendations for international spring break travel?
Here in North Texas, we've got great access to the all-inclusive resorts in Mexico, specifically the Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen area. That's great. We've got nonstop flights all year to Cancun. There's a new airport in Tulum that we can fly into, and you can spend your spring break on the turquoise shores of the Mayan Riviera. It's amazing. There's so many options that are great for families. You've got, in Cancun, you've got the Nickelodeon Resort. You could go to one of the lagoon resorts like Xcaret, or there are high-end family properties like Grand Velas or Moon Palace or even the Four Seasons. So lots and lots of options if you're looking for like a beach destination. Cruising here in Texas, we have easy access to Galveston. It's only 5 hours from the Metroplex. You can leave in the morning and arrive by embarkation time. You don't have to spend any of the money on airfare. We've got Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian all sailing from Galveston. They all use great new ships. And in fact, with Carnival, you can find 4 and 5 night sailings if you want to just have a little bit of a staycation at home and also get out of town. The others are 7 nights on Norwegian and Royal Caribbean. And let me tell you, it is a great experience. If you got kids, they got great kids programs. There's included childcare. We took our kids on Carnival for spring break last year. We could drop them off at 7 p.m. at Camp Carnival and pick them up at 10:30 p.m. And they had a blast, and we had some alone time. And the best thing is it didn't cost anything extra. All that's included. So that's a really great option for families for traveling internationally. If you're looking to go to a place like Europe, honestly, you'll still find premiums, but not the same premiums that you're finding to the beach destination and the ski destination, the sort of domestic getaways that are closer for everybody here. Because when you're traveling to Europe, typically you're taking a little bit more time. You're not going to do it just over spring break. You're going to spend 10 days or something like that.
Well, are we still welcoming Canada?
Yes, absolutely. Canada is a wonderful option, especially if you're skiing. Canada is frozen right now, so expect the cold. But even if you're not skiing, you can go to places like Vancouver or Montreal or even Toronto. Toronto is a dupe destination for New York. If you can't afford the Big Apple, you can go up to Toronto and have a kind of a nice big city experience.
Would you call that a dupe destination?
A dupe destination. Have you heard that term?
No, that's new.
Like a duplicate destination. So there's lots of destinations.
I thought you meant like they're a dupe, like they got tricked into. I thought we were going to New York. We landed in Toronto. I feel like a dupe. All right.
No.
Here's a real question, Casey Carr. Where are you going for spring break?
I am staying here this year, actually, for spring break. We are working on our house, but typically we'll go on a cruise. That's been sort of my family tradition for many years, and especially now that I've got kids of my own, it's a little bit of a no-brainer. It's easy, it's relatively inexpensive as long as you're planning well in advance. And you cannot beat the childcare. A cruise line like Carnival or Norwegian or Royal Caribbean probably wouldn't be my choice if it were just my wife and I, because it's a big mass market boat. So you got to expect that. But the trade-off is that there's great stuff for your kids. There's big shows. There's lots and lots of things to do on board, and you're there with your family too, where you can all separate and do your own things, but that you can come back together during the day or in the evenings for dinner and spend your good quality family time together.
All right, Casey Carr, the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm a family man now. I got 4 kids of school age, but before that, I was just a swinging single guy trying to have fun. And then after the kids are out of the house, I'll be an empty nester and probably ready to have a little more fun than I would if the kids were around. Where do the kidless people party for spring break?
The kidless people the young kidless people are the partiers. I find that the old kidless people, they're not as into partying, but the younger ones, they go to Mexico too. You know, there's great family options.
All right, well,
just a couple.
Let me divide that question.
Single.
The empty nesters, where do they party?
Empty nesters. There you go. They go to Europe. And you know, it's off season in Europe right now. It's not the perfect time to go to Switzerland, let's say, unless you're doing a ski trip. But if you're willing to deal with a little bit colder weather, you can avoid all the crowds, and you can pay much lower prices going and experiencing a new destination in Europe. You can go to you can go anywhere in the Mediterranean. You're not going to be hanging out on the beach in your bikini, James, but
speak for yourself, Casey.
you know, you're going to have a great experience, and you're going to avoid all the crowds and pay a much better price.
Yeah, well, you know, not a bikini, but I will be in a Speedo. This is Casey Carr. You can find him SharonCarrTravel.com. Thank you very much, Casey.
My pleasure. Thanks, James.
Where are you going for spring break, or where do you recommend? Like, where's a good place to visit for spring break? And I want you to think necessarily Texas, because one thing that's on my list that I've never been to, was born in Texas, raised here. I've never been, and I'm almost ashamed to say this, don't tell anybody, I've never been to Lukenbach. I've been singing the song. My kids know the song. My grandmother knew the song. I know where it's at. I've driven past the exit, but I've never been. I know there's like a bar, and then there's like a line, and there's a post office on the other side of the same room, and it's just all the pageantry and the tradition and just just a Texas icon. I've never been there. Would that be a good spring break? Can you take kids to that? I don't even know. But I'm talking about places like that. What are these little secret places that maybe the outside world, people from faraway places like Oklahoma and Arkansas wouldn't even know about? 800-288-9227. I do have a good recommendation here for those of you, if you like Fixer Upper, you would absolutely love the silos, the Magnolia silos that they have in downtown Waco. Oh my God. Just if you're halfway a fan, boy, people just go there, and they are just the happiest you have seen, these little people. I don't dislike Fixer Upper. It's just when I've seen one of those episodes, I've seen all of those episodes, and there's like 18 shows that copy it. The different house flipping ones and remodeling and try and get your money back or whatever. And so I can only take so much terracotta or shiplap or whatever. But the people there, like, I am just happy seeing how happy these people are, because there's like, wow, the silos are so much bigger than they look on TV. And these ladies are just smiling. They're just beaming ear to ear. And it's almost all women. I don't know where all the husbands are. I don't know if they're just waiting in the truck listening to a podcast or smoking a Black and Mild. But then they're like, oh, my God, there's a bakery, too. Oh, these cookies are so good. Oh, my God, this T-shirt is so funny. And then, like, around the back, they have AstroTurf set up where the kids can play different games like cornhole or whatever. And then they have all these food trucks set up, and one of them's like a coffee food truck. And it is just, if you like Fixer Upper, it has things that have nothing to do with the show, but they know who their target demographic is. They know you ladies that are 30, 40, 50, and you're all into home remodeling, and you want to just knock out this wall and really open up this space, or these cabinets are too old, or the bane of your existence is a popcorn ceiling. They have other things that you like there, too, like the coffee truck. They know you like foo-foo coffee. The show has nothing to do with foo-foo coffee. They know you love it, though. So that's my recommendations, the Magnolia Silos. Rodney, Canton, what's your secret place for spring break?
You were talking about Lukenbach. You might as well go to Fredericksburg, hit the wine country down there, go to Enchanted Rock, look at Inks Lakes. They got some beautiful places to camp down around there on the Colorado River.
Love it. These are all great suggestions. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know, I've been to Fredericksburg and Seguin and Kerrville and that whole area, but every single one of them is because I was playing soccer in college, and I got to drive through the town, win a soccer game, and then leave. So, yeah, I got to go back to some of those places. There's all kinds of good secrets there. Thank you, Rodney and Canton. And speaking of Canton, if you've never been to First Monday, I know that's not really a good spring break destination, but you got to go at some point in your life. Like, does everyone know what First Monday is here in Dallas? Because in East Texas, that's like the biggest thing in the world. If you don't know what First Mondays is, it's like if Amazon, the website, was a place, is the best way I can describe that. All right. Any more suggestions? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll talk to an immigration attorney and get an update on the immigration situation in Texas on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.